Hi, my name's Erin and I run the gaming channel OwShiny. Today I want to talk to you about Hashimoto's thyroiditis disease, which I am suffering. I have seen a lot of videos online from many different people who suffer from this condition, and there's different information each of them kind of bring to the table, and it's very hard with Hashimoto's because different people suffer different things. So I wanted to add my voice to show for Hashimoto's in case you have been experiencing some things and you haven't seen it in the video so far, or if you want more information. Most of the comments I see in the videos are people who are very supportive, which is great, but there's a lot of questions where they don't understand a lot of it. So I'm going to try and add a little bit more, I say sciencey, but I'm trying to add a little bit more of what things do, because I noticed that people were just kind of telling what happens to them, what they're what they're kind of feeling, and I wanted to kind of add more things like, you've heard thyroxine and thyroxine being mentioned, but do you actually understand what that hormone does? So I'm hoping to kind of add that. I've kind of got my notes on my page, so if I'm not looking at you, because I'm looking at the notes, just to remind me of everything. So to start off, Hashimoto's thyroiditis disease is an autoimmune disease. This means that my immune system is attacking myself. Essentially, is the easiest way to describe an autoimmune disease. It's your own system attacking your body. There's no easier description than that. So in this case, Hashimoto's thyroiditis is my immune system attacking my thyroid gland, which is here in my neck. It's about that size. It's like a butterfly. I mean, if I find a picture, I'll post it here, maybe. So yeah, it attacks that. And this gland produces hormone called thyroxine. Now, you've heard of this this hormone being mentioned a lot, and you've probably heard of lithothyroxine, which is a synthetic manufactured hormone that we use in replacement of medication. So let's go through thyroxine first. So the hormone that is actually produced by this gland. This actually has a big intel on how our bodies run, which is why you hear so many different symptoms about what we're experiencing. This hormone pretty much balances the whole body. So it affects your metabolic rate, your growth and development, your carbohydrates, your fats, your proteins, your electrolytes, water, vitamin requirements that you have, reproduction, resistance to infection. It just has such a wide spread of what. Also, I keep looking down because I'm a bit nervous, but it has such a wide spread of what it controls or affects on the body that when we don't receive what we need, or we receive too much, it pretty much just off-anchors the whole body. So lithothyroxine is synthetic made, or more likely from animals, and we take this as medication to replace the thyroids that are not being produced from here anymore. So what's happening to stop it from being produced? Well, the autoimmune disease, when it attacks, it scars the tissue in the thyroid gland, and when it scars tissue, that stops the thyroid being produced by that part of the tissue, which is why the range of us going up and down, up and down, up and down, is because it can attack ferociously or it can peel off. Sometimes when it's been attacked, some of the hormones have been released anyway, so we don't realize until weeks later something's going wrong. So that's the basis of what thyroxine and lithothyroxine is, and which is why lithothyroxine is always given as a drug medication for Hashimoto's. The reason mainly is because Hashimoto's causes a condition called hypothyroidism. And hypothyroidism, just in simple terms, means the lack of thyroid hormone being produced by your thyroid gland. So we take this in replacement. there is a lot of conditions and effects that can happen. So let's kind of concentrate on the main ones. Exhaustion and tiredness. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, well, I wake up in the morning and I'm really tired and, you know, I don't want to get out of bed and stuff, which is fine. You know what? Everyone has that, trust me. You know, when I was younger, I used to have that. I was not a great morning person. But when we're talking about Hashimotos or hypothyroidism, which isn't correctly medicated, we're not talking about you can't be asked to get out of bed because it's nice and warm. We're talking like we physically cannot get out of bed. Our muscles are so exhausted that if the physical energy to get out of bed takes us a lot more time to kind of grapple and feed into our muscles. So it's not a case that we're being lazy. We physically are struggling to get out of bed. We physically struggle with simplest things. Like, for example, at the moment, I have stairs in my house. I get to the top of the stairs. Probably takes me like 5 minutes. I trundle up the stairs, more likely. Half the time, I tend to be leaning my shoulder against the wall to try and take some of the weight off. As I'm going upstairs. By the time I get to the stairs, I am out of breath. I have to sit down, and I probably won't move from my seat for a good 10 to 20 minutes until I've brought my breathing back under control. And that's walking upstairs. And we're not talking like a massive flight. I don't live in a block of flats. I live in a normal storied house, 3-bedroom house. It is one set of stairs, and that is the kind of exhaustion and tiredness effect that I have from this condition. Other ones are things like that. No, I know this will sound really strange, but with the exhaustion, insomnia, physically unable to sleep, mentally not able to sleep. You will be exhausted, and my brain will literally be telling me, and my eyes will be telling me I need to go to sleep, but I can't sleep. I won't be able to. And that's more destroying because when you do eventually sleep, you sleep for such a long period of time. A great example of this was the weekend that's just gone. So we're in March 17th. I'm recording this. The weekend just gone. It was my birthday on Monday the 14th. So yeah, it was horrible. But the weekend just gone, we took in a 48-hour period. I was awake for 6 hours at that 48-hour period. That was how bad I was over the weekend. I was so tired and exhausted, I physically couldn't stay awake. When I did get up, I literally got up to go to the toilet and then to eat something, and then literally my body would give out and I would have to go back to bed. It's not a case of, oh yeah, but you'll need to wait and then, you know, you'll wake up and the tiredness will go. It doesn't. I literally start to feel sick, and if I keep pushing myself, I will throw up from trying to stay awake from it. So I know a lot of people with Hashimotos, I just want to point out now, they have different levels of this, and sometimes they're corrected just by taking the hormone replacement, sometimes they're not. So I am giving you my account of my conditions, and I hopefully, you know, maybe some of you are experiencing this, and, you know, solidarity for it. If you're not, it doesn't mean that you don't have it, you know, that you have it any less than someone else. It just means that your body is trying to cope with it differently. Another great one is weight gain. So you can have Hashimotos and hypothyroidism for years before you realize that you have it. It will start slowly. You know, you might feel some tiredness, maybe feel a bit ill, things like this. But essentially, you don't really kind of, for me, I was taking it as stress from work. You know, I loved my job. I worked long hours if I needed to. I enjoyed the stuff that come with it, but yeah, I mean, it was stressful. I was managing a team. I had to make sure the business was still running. If people were upset, then I was trying to talk them out of things, talk them into things, trying to do deals. You know, there's all sorts of things that was going on, and I enjoyed and loved my job, but at the same time, it was stressful. I hit a period where I was getting alopecia, which is hair loss. And the doctor just commented it is alopecia. I had this awesome bald spot around the back here. I don't know, like literally it was probably the size of a 50 pence. For those bit of, it's probably that big, like the size of my eye orbital. But yeah, it was right on the back there. It terrified me because I was like trying to comb to cover up the space, and I lost some hair on, you know, that kind of grew back, and I lost some hair on the other side. Again, I just took it, there was alopecia, and it was just my body coping with the stress of what I was doing for my job. You know, I trying to relax off, I made sure I was trying to clock into times, things like this. I put a lot of weight gain on. I think in the last, I would have to say 5 to 7 years, I've probably put on average a stone on every year. It's a lot of weight. It's a lot of weight gain. And, you know, I didn't go to Burger King every day and things like that. I missed out a lot of meals. I often forgot to eat lunches. I probably didn't have breakfast. You know, it's not very often I eat those meals. So most of the time I was eating dinner meals. So I always kind of recruited it to my bad habits, and I always tried to swing myself out of it and in a bit, but I just kept on putting the weight on, putting the weight on, putting the weight on. I have suffered quite a few infections over the last kind of 5 years as well, which again I didn't attribute to anything really. So there's a lot of things that was leading up to the point where I got diagnosed. So the final blow, as it were, was I was just at the point I couldn't get out of bed. I felt so sick. I had this awful migraine sitting in my head. I literally couldn't move, and this didn't go away after 2-3 days. I was stuck in my room, cut and shut, you know, pillow over, trying to wait it out, drink lots of water, and it still wasn't going. So I took my pain medication and I went to the GPs the next opportunity I could, which was on the Tuesday. So I'd been suffering from this, it'd gone to like a headache by that point, but it was still really painful, and like all my muscles down my back were so painful, around my ribs, everything hurt. So I went in and they first thought it was they call it a tension headache, which basically means all my muscles in my back had locked. So imagine all the muscles in your back locking in place. There's no leeway, there's no stretching. They'd literally kind of fisted together, and so it causes headaches within your head where your muscles won't relax down. But then they took blood tests just to make sure that there wasn't anything else going on, and this is when it turned out that I had Hashimotos as well as hypothyroidism. So I got signed off from work, but there was no way I could work, and I started taking the medications in smaller doses. Now, during this time frame, I have gone through constipation, throat pain. Oh my god, you will not believe the throat pain you get right here, and it's like sometimes it feels like really swollen. And yeah, like I was like thinking, oh god, like I'm gonna have to have tonsils out, because I still have my tonsils. I thought it was my tonsils, but then it turns out my tonsils were fine. So it's like it's because this is where your thyroid gland is, and so when it's getting attacked and it hurts and it like swells up and stuff, so it becomes really painful, especially when you're trying to swallow and breathe and talk. And then all the muscles on my body were just literally exhausted out. They're still really painful. They ache when they're not painful. I was getting numb tingling in my hands. Like the migraines were still coming round. I'm trying to think of other things, you know. I mean, this is all kind of within the first couple of months of being diagnosed and trying to take medication. They took the tests again about 8 weeks later, 6 to 8 weeks, and the numbers came back normal for them, but I was still really bad. So they tried testing for other things. It turns out I had a vitamin D deficiency as well, which wasn't surprising considering I hadn't been out for probably like 2 months. So I started taking vitamin D tablets, supplements to try and up it to make sure that that wasn't causing issues as well. So I felt kind of better for a couple of weeks. I went back to work, made an agreement to do some home days just to ease back into full-time work. I was probably there for about 2 weeks before, boom, crashed straight down again. Went back in, freaking numbers were disappearing. Like it was ridiculous how they dropped. So continue, we get increase on the hormone supplements, and again I start to feel a little bit better, and I go back to work, and again hits 1-2 weeks. I actually end up going to A&E because I was literally we had constipation, and when I did go, I had blood coming out, which is lovely to think about. I was throwing up, my body was constantly trying to retch, and like everything hurt. I was in tears. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. This all starts kicking off, and we go to A&E to try and get it sorted. So the lovely lady doctor that was there suggested that my hormones levels must have dropped down, but she also suspected that I'd gotten food poisoning somehow as well, which was causing like me to try and throw up and things like that, which is fine. So the throwing up and everything eased off, went back to the GPs, and lo and behold, the hormones had dropped down again. So for my test results, if you look at my blood test results from when I first get diagnosed, like my levels are low, they go up, they're kind of normal, they plummet down, I get higher medication, they chill out, they drop right down again. So every single time I get to a serious point, maybe 6 to 8 weeks later, my hormone dropples will just go straight down, and that's it. We don't know why. So unlike probably a lot of people who made videos, I got diagnosed in May 2015. Another point is you get brain fog, and you get like, I forget what I've done or where I've put something. Like I'll have a glass of lemonade. I had a glass of lemonade, and I swear I'd put it down in the kitchen, but then I find it up in the bedroom, and I don't remember going to the bedroom, especially not with my lemonade. So I get like a lot of kind of periods like that where I'm forgetting what stuff's happening, like what I want to connect in my brain with words doesn't work, and that's stressful in itself. Not remembering certain things, or if someone's talking to you, I'll zone out, not on purpose, but I just like, it's as if I've lost like 3 seconds and I don't remember anything you've said. I remember starting to listen, and I'll be staring at you, but I won't be, it's just like I won't take it in for whatever reason. So like that can be annoying if you're talking to someone and they don't realize, and then they just think you're not paying attention, or you're not, you're being rude, and it's not the case that you're doing that. It's like, it's just a weird brain thing. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's happened. I managed this year, at the beginning of the year, I had a first responder come around because I got really bad, and they suspected that I caught a infection, like a stomach bug infection. I then caught flu. I still have a cold now, which is great. So I can't fight anything off. As soon as I go outside, like I will catch something, and then that'll be it. I'll be ill for like the next 2 weeks, where I'm trying to fight stuff off. It's really stressful. I like being in control of things I know I can be in control of, and I have no control over this. There's nothing I can do And that's the scariest part for me, is trying to find an answer for what's going on, and basically not getting the answer you need. I have finally been referred to a specialist who I'm seeing on the 1st of April, which, thank God, is going to be soon, maybe 2 weeks. I get to see him, and hopefully he'll be able to give me more answers. There's a lot of things I've seen online about how people with Hashimotos will swing back and forth. There's a lot more going in that they need to be aware of, and you know, it just seems to be that although Hashimoto's is becoming more widely spread known as a condition, general GPs don't seem to know a lot about it. They're not that in depth with it. So you really have to push. If you've been diagnosed with hypothyroidism and you're still feeling crap and you're taking the medication, it can take up to 6 to 8 weeks roughly for medication to kick in. But if you're still not feeling better, you need to push your doctors to give you the help you need. Because I've stuck with kind of one GP now, but there was like another GP that was there, and his pretty much response was, it pretty much sounded like, I don't believe you. I don't think that you're ill or in pain at all. You've just got hypothyroidism. That's it. You know, what are you complaining about? And it was really upsetting, because it's basically been told that you're lying about how you're being unwell. Basically tells you that they don't want anything, they don't want to help you, they don't believe you, and they're not going to do anything at all. So try and make sure that you get a doctor that's willing to help, even if they don't really know a lot. As long as they're trying to get a specialist, that's like a really good straightforward spot. So like right now, all of my back and my ribs are really painful, so I've taken cocodamol. So I take cocodamol to try and take the edge off the pain, but it's still there, and it nags, and it still hurts, and it makes it very hard to breathe when your ribs are painful, because just the movement of breathing out hurts. So yeah, if you're here because you know someone with Hashimotos, or you're suffering with Hashimotos, you need to make sure that you're reaching out for the help, and people do understand what's going on. Don't suffer in silence for what's going on. I've been referred to a physiotherapist as well now, at my request, because I've been off for so long that my muscles have become so weak that things like just picking a bag up will knock me out after maybe a couple of minutes of holding it. So I've been given little exercises to do, just like really simple things, and I have to do them throughout the day. So I will do like 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 2 in the evening, just to help. Because if I do big lumps of exercise, and for those of you who have Hashimotos and you're trying to lose weight, it is the worst thing trying to lose weight, because literally if your hormones are in balance and you're still in pain and things like that, like it is extremely hard, because your body will not lose weight the same way as someone who doesn't have the condition. So you have to be aware of that. So don't be hard on yourself, but also at the same time, if you're trying to do hard lumps of exercises when you're still you've not been doing it, then you'll probably notice, and like I did, I went for a walk. I can probably, if I've got a mission where I know where I'm going, I can probably do about 20 minutes. That's my max until I'm shattered, and I probably have to go for a nap afterwards as well. But you'll find the next day you will be so tired and more exhausted than you would be normally. And then if you continue the trend, it doesn't even have to be like 2 hours at the gym or an hour at the gym. It can be something as simple as 10 to 20 minutes of walking somewhere. And if your body's not used to it, what happens is weak muscles require more energy from your body, and your body is already exhausted from the condition, and then your muscles are requiring energy that you don't have to operate and work. Whereas people who've got the muscles you're used to doing that kind of exercise, they don't require as much energy from their body because they're used to doing it. They've now built up, they're stronger. So for people where your muscles are weaker, then it's going to be harder. And to be fair, that pretty much applies to everyone. If you have weak muscles, then it's going to require more energy from your body. So expect to be more tired later on or the next day. But for people with Hashimotos who are still not balancing their life yet, and they're still feeling all the symptoms and feeling really crappy and stuff, it's just going to make it worse. You need to build up really small blocks first to make it up. Another thing, I don't know why I have my headphones in, because I'm not listening to anything. The other kind of thing is diet. I've seen a lot of stuff online about managing Hashimotos and how you can be cured of Hashimotos with a gluten-free diet and blah blah blah. Now, let's put it this way: you will never be cured of this, because it's your own body attacking something that's still there, and this will continue. Okay, you can manage it, or it can kind of control it, but you can manage your condition, but you cannot cure it. Like, it's not gonna happen, but you can manage it. And okay, diet might be possible. I've asked for that to be looked into, but tend to be like people who go on gluten-free diets, usually people with like celiac disease. So it means their intestines, it's another autoimmune disease, their intestines don't cope with gluten at all. Now, okay, that might help with Hashimoto's, but some people probably feel a good effect from it, maybe because they have an intolerance already, but I haven't seen anything that actually scientifically connects gluten with Hashimoto's. I mean, yeah, it's another autoimmune disease, but it doesn't connect the two. So, you know, this is something that for me is still controversial, and it's very hard when you're searching the internet for answers and you want more information about a condition that people still don't know how it starts. They have some theories, they have some good ideas, but they don't know how it starts, and they don't fully understand the condition. It's very hard to find information and know that it's going to be good information that's going to help you, and it's not going to cause you to become worse. So, you know, by all means, if you want to try gluten-free, try gluten-free. Me personally, I love my pasta too much, but if I was told that I needed to go gluten-free, I would. But I don't see the connection personally from an autoimmune disease that where it's triggered by the intestinal glands. I think someone said gluten causes your immune system to flare up, and when your immune system flares up, it means it's going to attack stronger and stronger your thyroid. Okay, maybe, but I haven't seen this evidence, so I personally don't know whether that's true. Cold. Oh my god, this is why I'm wearing a beanie. How cold do we get? I mean, like, I'll just be in the house and I'll be like, holy shit. I feel like ice is burrowing into my bones, especially my arms, my legs, my head. I'll just be sitting there, everyone else will be fine, and all of a sudden I'll start shaking, I'll be freezing cold. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm from Scotland. Normally I have no issues with the cold. I can quite happily go out with a coat. Now, that's all out the window. I feel so sensitive to the cold now, it's ridiculous. Trying to think of I've kind of gone through a lot of stuff I'm going through. You know, I struggle with fighting off infections and flus and stuff. My muscles ache or are in pain most of the time, so I tend to be taking pain medication to relieve that. My throat. Well, that's why I always, if you guys watch my videos, you know, I always sometimes I have this really gravelly voice, or I sound like I'm croaking. It's literally because this is painful, and it's not because I have a dry voice, it's just literally because this is painful to talk with. The insomnia, the exhaustion, I was getting, and I don't know whether it's related, but I was getting spots inside my nose, which were causing nosebleeds, so I was getting nosebleeds as well, really badly. For those women, menstrual cycles, oh my god, just no. I had a menstrual cycle for 3 weeks. I was on, we're not talking, oh, it's a little dabble, like I'm talking full, like freaking Virginia Falls was going on. I was in so much pain. I was not getting out of bed. It hurt so much, and this went on for 3 weeks, and I'm just terrified that this is going to happen again. It's irregular, so it's not monthly. I'm not sitting there and getting a period every month. It's just whenever it decides it wants to come. So that's really, really painful. And then like the brain fog and kind of memory loss and things like that. There are a few other conditions that I've seen that are related to Hashimotos. So you may feel, I'm trying to think, like a dry skin. I use lots of moisturizer now. Like I used moisturizer before, but I use so much more now. Like I will literally moisturize in the morning and moisturize in the evening, because my skin just gets like so dry, and then you end up with like scaling coming off, and it's freaking horrible. There are some other things that I haven't really spoken to my doctor. You know, I have another appointment with them on Monday with my GP, hopefully present towards my specialist appointment, which I have to pee in a pod for, because everyone loves peeing in a pod. But there are some new things that have popped up that I found out about that I'm hoping to kind of see if there's a way to check them and, you know, clear those out. But there's things like mild nerve distress, something called peripheral, what is it called? Neuropathy. Basically, what it means is it's like your nervous system, and it's God, what's the best way to describe it? So you have like your sensory, and then you have like your motor functions, and then you have like your body's regulatory type things. So, you know, like making sure like your blood pressure and your bladder functions and stuff are working. And it's fun that like sometimes when you have Hashimotos and hypothyroidism, that you can get damage to these nerve centers, which then can cause issues with transmitting like pain and touch, and your motor nerves like controlling your muscles or your bladder and things like that. So these are things that I want to talk to him about in case there is any nerve damage. Depression is part of the package for me. Unfortunately, I have my medication here, so I'm taking the lithotroxine, and these are Cisplam, which is depression tablets. So I am taking these because as you can probably already tell, it's really mentally stressful for me. You often feel, I think, with this kind of condition, and with a lot of conditions, like how I kind of described it to my partner the other day was, I feel like I'm trapped in a cage, and a Hashimoto's is like, it's like this little evil kind of like cell, and he has the key to my jail cell, and he controls when I can have a break outside of the jail he contains, when I go back in, how big the jail cell is, how much pressure it's causing. So I'm struggling with the stresses of what's going on, the fact that I have no control over what's going on. I don't know what's happening. I am waiting for all these appointments so that I can try and get better. You know, and it's really hard. You know, you kind of feel helpless. You can't do much, which makes you feel even worse. I'm not at work because I physically can't do it. I don't drive unless I kind of every now and again, if I really need to get somewhere, like if I need to go to the hospital and things. But it tires me out so much that, and like on occasions I've gotten car sick. I've literally had to pull over on a dual carriageway and start throwing up because my body, like, it's as if my whole body got like vertigo. I kind of lose balance and stuff like that. If I can't remember where I put my lemonade, I'm not going to remember what I did with loads of emails, or, you know, trying to have conversation, make sure I'm having conversations with people and not making mistakes and stuff. And I don't think I'm in a place that I'd love to be there, but I'm not in a place where I'm able to do that. And that kind of adds another helpless load on top of me at the moment. So yeah, there's lots of things with it, but yeah, depression kind of is part of the package for me. Some of you might have depression, some of you may not be suffering from it, depending on the situation. But yeah, it's hard, you know, with the not remembering where to put stuff and things like that. Hair loss, I don't know, I think it's probably part of it. So yeah, if Hashimotos or hypothyroidism, which is a set of Hashimotos, doesn't get cured, or not cured but managed, this can lead to worse things. You can go deaf, you can lose a lot of things, but you can have surgical procedures, I guess, as well. I mean, there's like some people over, I can't remember if it's Sweden or Norway or something, and they're practicing the whole idea of just doing surgery on the thyroid to try and help it. You can overdose on like lithotroxine, which accelerates like your heart rate and your bone loss as well, like your bone. You can get, it's like there's a lot that can go wrong, like heart conditions, other autoimmune diseases, infections that could become lethal, and like really worst case, if nothing is done, myxoclemic coma. I think it's a myxedema coma. You're going to go into a coma. You're not coming out, and you're going to die. I mean, that's kind of end game, really, isn't it? If you can't control it, you can't manage it, and it gets worse and worse and worse. If you get to that point, then you can go into a coma and you can die. So, you know what? I know it's not worse than a lot of conditions that are out there, but it's pretty bad for me right now. And just the kind of thought that it's this point, its seriousness of, if it doesn't get sorted, it could pretty much go to endgame, into death. Isn't that scary for anyone with this condition if they're not getting better? So yeah, there's lots of things surrounded in this. My journey so far hasn't been good. I've had a lot of downs. I have a very supportive partner and mum in this condition to try and get me through it. Work has been really understanding, and, you know, on what can be done. So I've kind of been lucky in a way that I know I have the support, even if sometimes I struggle to kind of reach out. That's me, I'm just a stubborn ass. But yeah, it's good fun to link sometimes. And I just felt that some of the videos on there are, you know, they cover some of the stuff I'm going through. Some people are luckier than others. but there must be people out there that are asking questions saying, oh, well, I've been experiencing this and I'm experiencing this, and there was no answers. Like, there's no answers to them, and I wanted to give a more full view. I wanted to tell them about my story, which is still continuing. And I'll probably do another update once I've had more appointments and stuff, and things like that. But yeah, if you guys do want to comment below, and you know, if you have questions about things that you feel you have that sounds similar to me, or if you have something that's not and you just want to talk, then I'm happy to do that. I will happily talk to anyone about this condition, or if you're a sufferer, or if you had a friend who's suffering and you're not sure how to approach the subjects or how to act and things like that around them. I will more than happy talk to anyone, and you know, I'll make sure I'm monitoring the comments in this video as well for it. But I hope I've given you guys lots of information. I kind of rambled a little bit at some point, and for those of you who have Hashimotos, don't give up, keep fighting. There's something to fight for, and I will hopefully see you at that finish line of controlling my condition. Bye.